Returning to his chair, Joe Mingrui heard the distant bells of the cathedral chime once again. The sound echoed 7 times before he slowly stood, moved to the cupboard, and began taking out his clothes. Dressed in a black vest with a matching suit, tightly fitted trousers, and a half-top hat, his reflection exuded the charm of an English gentleman from the Victorian era. He couldn't help but chuckle softly, shaking his head. "I'm not going for an interview," he murmured, smiling wryly. "All I'm doing is buying some ingredients to prepare for my luck enhancement ritual." Klein's lingering instincts had made him subconsciously dress up whenever he wasn't paying full attention. Sighing, Joe Mingrui changed into a more modest brownish-yellow coat and a rounded felt hat of the same color. He then lifted a square cushion from his bed, reaching into a hidden hole beneath it until his fingers found a small roll of money. It contained 8 notes, 2 worth 5 soldi each, the rest single soldi notes, Benson's entire savings, including their living expenses for the next few days. The Lone Kingdom's currency system ranked the soldi second only to the gold pound, with 1 soldi worth 12 copper pence and 1 gold pound equal to 20 soldi. As Joe spread out a note, the faint scent of ink rose to his nose, the smell of money. Something about it stirred him. Whether from Klein's memories or his own fascination, Joe found himself admiring the notes like works of art. "Look at the design," he thought. "Even George III's stern face looks charming now." The delicate watermark shimmered under the light, and the intricate anti-counterfeit patterns filled him with delight. After indulging in admiration, he took 2 notes for himself and carefully returned the rest to their hiding place, smoothing the cushion back into position. He slipped the 2 notes into his coat pocket, separating them from the few pence in his trousers. After pocketing a key and grabbing a dark brown paper bag, he walked briskly toward the door, but suddenly stopped, frowning. Klein's suicide had been filled with strange details. What if he encountered something dangerous? Thinking it through, he returned to his desk, opened a drawer, and retrieved the brass revolver. It was his only means of defense. Even without knowing how to shoot, just brandishing it could deter trouble. Still, anxiety prickled at him. What if it misfires? He thought. To prevent that, he released the cylinder, rotated it until the empty chamber aligned with the hammer, the one fired during the supposed suicide, and snapped it shut. This way, even if I mess up, it'll just click on an empty round. Feeling more secure, he slipped the gun into his pocket, pressing his hand over it as he adjusted his hat and stepped outside. The corridor was dim, sunlight barely seeping through the small window at the far end. He descended the creaking stairs and exited the apartment, greeted by the warmth and brightness of the summer sun. Though it was late June, midsummer, Tingin's northern climate kept the air cool. The streets, however, were wet and littered with trash, the marks of overcrowded slums. "Come and try our delicious roasted fish. Hot oyster soup, 1 bowl to warm your soul. Fresh fish, only 5 pence each. Muffins and eel soup, best in the district. Vegetables fresh from the outer farms." The street buzzed with life. Vendors shouted to attract customers while pedestrians rushed past, some pausing to haggle, others too anxious to stop. The air was thick with a mix of smoke, salt, and street food, an odd blend of foul and fragrant. Keeping his left hand clenched around the revolver and his right pressed on his hat, Joe slouched as he moved through the crowd, wary of pickpockets and desperate vagrants. When the crowd thinned, he straightened his back and looked ahead. A ragged man played the accordion, the tune alternately bright and mournful. Around him, malnourished children danced joyfully to the beat, their faces glowing with innocent happiness. A weary woman passed by, her eyes dull and lifeless, until she looked at the children. For a fleeting moment, her gaze softened, reflecting a memory of her own lost youth. Joe turned down another street and stopped at Smyron Bakery. The shop's owner, Mrs. Wendy Smyron, was an elderly woman with snow-white hair and a kind smile. She had been baking in the same spot for as long as Klein's memories could recall. "Mrs. Smyron," Joe greeted warmly, 8 pounds of rye bread, please." "Oh, dear Klein, where's Benson? Still away?" she asked, handing him a gentle smile. "He'll be back in a few days," Joe replied vaguely. "Such a hard-working lad," Wendy sighed fondly. "He'll make some girl very happy one day, and you, our fine history graduate from Coy University. Soon, you'll be earning your own money. You shouldn't stay in that cramped apartment any longer. You deserve a home with your own bathroom." Joe smiled awkwardly. "Mrs. Smyron, you're quite energetic today." In truth, Klein's memories held the same hope, that once he became a lecturer at Tingen University, life would change. He'd imagined renting a cozy suburban bungalow with spacious rooms, 2 bathrooms, a kitchen, and even an underground cellar. With a starting salary of £2 a week, rising to 3 and 10 solely after probation, it would have been a dream come true. His brother Benson earned only £1 and 10 solely a week, and most laborers made even less. Rent for such a home ranged from 19 solely to £1 and 18 solely. "This is the difference between earning 4,000 yuan and 15,000, Joe muttered under his breath. But that dream depended on passing the university interview. History majors had few opportunities outside academia, and without connections, government work was impossible. Klein's fragmented knowledge didn't help either. Wendy chuckled. "Oh no, I've always been this young," she said with mock pride, wrapping the bread into his paper bag. "That'll be 9 pence. 9, wasn't it 11 2 days ago?" Joe asked. "You can thank the protesters," she replied with a shrug. "They fought for the repeal of the Grain Act." Klein's memories filled in the rest. The act had restricted grain imports to protect local farmers, but at the cost of rising prices. Its repeal had made bread cheaper. Joe nodded, handed her a solely note, and received 3 copper pence in change. Carefully pocketing them, he thanked her and left for the asterisk lettuce and meat market across the street. Melissa's mutton stew with peas awaited him. As he crossed Iron Cross Street toward Daffodil Street, he noticed the municipal square bustling with life. Tents were pitched everywhere, and clowns in gaudy outfits handed out flyers. "A circus performance tomorrow night," he murmured, scanning one of the papers. "Melissa would love this, but how much is the entrance fee?" He was about to ask one of the clowns when a hoarse female voice interrupted. "Would you like a divination?" Turning, Joe saw a woman in a long black dress and pointed hat standing before a small tent. Her face was painted in red and yellow, and her deep gray-blue eyes gleamed with mystery. "No," Joe replied politely. "I don't have spare change." The woman chuckled. "My tarot divination is very accurate." "Tarot?" Joe froze. The pronunciation was identical to the tarot cards he knew from Earth, used for fortune-telling, with symbols representing fate and omens. Yet in this world, tarot divination was said to have been invented not by gods, but by Roselle Gustav Asterisk, the legendary Inti's Republic consul turned emperor. The man who created the steam engine, reformed his nation, and established the god of steam and machinery's modern church. Roselle had unified nations, built an empire, and even popularized games like poker and bridge, before being betrayed and assassinated in the year 1198 of the Fifth Epoch. Joe's eyes widened. Could he have been a transmigrator too? The thought made his pulse quicken. Intrigued, he turned back to the mysterious woman and said, "If the price is reasonable, I'll give it a try." The woman smiled knowingly. "Sir, you're my first customer today, so it's on the house."